Super Cop Abba Kyari accuses the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB as a cause of his battles. And the Osun State governorship elections as it draws near, infighting rocks the APC as both factions get ready to battle. Well, this is Plus Politics. I am Mary. Police Chief Abba Kyari continues to face tribulations as he is arrested by the police force barely hours to the announcement that he is wanted by the police. While facing a probe panel led by Joseph Igbunike, a Deputy Inspector General of Police, Kyari claimed that members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and the Eastern Security Network, ESN, are behind his travails. The same panel has recommended that the demotion of Abba Kyari to the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police, as it had been found that he was culpable of fraternizing with fraudulent characters, thereby violating the Nigeria Police Force professional ethics. Now, joining us to discuss and break this down is Adeshina Ogunlana. He's a legal practitioner, and we're also being joined by Dennis Amakri. He's a former assistant director of the Department of State Services, DSS. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Amakri, for joining us.
Thank you.
Great. I'm going to start with you because you are a security person. Many have accused the NDLEA. In fact, when the story came out, many people started saying, we saw it on social media, I listened to radio programs. A lot of people said that this was a diversionary tactic as to the fact that the FBI is still asking for an extradition of Abba Kyari to the US so that he could face charges of money laundering and others. Do you believe that this is a tactic? I mean, with all that has developed, so all the stories that have been breaking since the NDLEA came out with this allegation, do you find any form of hanky-panky happening underneath?
Well, thank you for having me. I don't believe that the NDLA invitation is anything to do with any hanky-panky. But I don't trust the police management of what they are doing with that case. Because let's start from the fraud case with Hush Puppy. You know, they should have finished that and submitted their report. But that report is still hanging in there. No decision has been taken. And it is only when the NDLA came out openly, because they have requested for Abba Kyari before the press conference. Then they refused. And then when they came out to the press conference, of course, they were forced, when it's in the public domain, to release him to the NDLA. So I think the police authorities might be trying to cover their own. I don't blame them too much, because usually it will affect the image of the police when one of their best is being disgraced, so to say, in this kind of situation.
You led yourself straight into my next question, because I was going to ask that a super cop like Abba Kyari and the position that he actually occupied up until yesterday, or early this morning when he was demoted, do you not think that the list, if he does begin to sing like a canary, that there might be other people implicated even high up on the echelon of the police force?
Oh, definitely. You know that even when the Hush Puppy case came up, we never knew that there were other people involved, although they said that the money was sent to his brother, but they were not named. But when the NDLA case came out, we know that there were 4 active members of his team that were involved. And I can tell you one thing, if they take him out, even from the NDLA interrogation to the FBI interrogation, he's going to mention more people. So I think that might be what many people want to avoid by trying to shield him from this national disgrace.
Let me come to you, Mr. Shina, we've seen the development of this story, like I was just saying. We've seen a war of words also between the police and the NDLEA. And just like Mr. Makri has said, it took that press conference for, this story to break open as much as it has now. But then let's talk about jurisdiction here, because the NDLEA is calling for, the police to allow for him to be arrested. But the police has arrested Abba Kyari. So where do we draw the line of jurisdiction here? If he's being, there are allegations of him getting involved in drug-related cases, should it be the police arresting him, or should it be the NDLEA? Help us to understand.
Well, maybe you should have asked the gentleman from the intelligence background, because he's a law enforcement agent. I'm just a lawyer, not a private citizen. But you see, ordinarily, anyone actually can arrest anybody. NDLEA has the power to arrest. They are specialized in that particular area of crime. GFCC is specialized in the particular area, and all the immigration specialized, customs, and even the police generally. That's the octopus body.
Yeah, but should the police be, a judge in its own case, being that it is the police officer that's being alleged to be involved in this NDLEA issue, which is a jurisdiction for the drug law enforcement agency?
Except I'm behind the news. I thought it's been handed over to the NDLEA.
Well, they're still waiting for, from what we hear, the police has arrested him for these cases.
Has been handed over.
He has been handed over, okay,
yes.
as we speak.
Yes,
now.
it's not that it has been handed over. Just like I was saying, even a private person can arrest a person committing a crime or about to escape justice and hand over to the police. Now, the police, they arrested him and handed him over to the NDLEA, the more appropriate authority, because they are the one in charge of narcotics and all that.
Yes.
So that one, I think we've left the issue of jurisdiction. And as it is now, the important thing is to move forward about the conclusion or furthering or deepening of the investigation.
Yeah. As we speak, the police is also saying that there are NDLEA officers that they think were also part of this criminal act. They're asking that those NDLEA officers be also prosecuted. But the NDLEA is saying that that is not the case. So again, we're in a war of words.
Well, as it is really, Nigeria is just a very interesting country. As the gentleman over there, Mr. Makira, has mentioned, there are socio-psychological reasons for the police wanting to protect their own. Generally, in all these military police situation, security, that's what they call esprit de corps, where you want to shield. And it's not only among themselves. Doctors do shield themselves. Lecturers do shield themselves. It's a normal human thing, not necessarily good or bad. So as it were, if the police are saying the right thing, it's important that, okay, don't say our boy is the only one that is bad. Our boy, if he's bad, he has a network of people that is not only in the police, but even your own organization. So I think it is not too right to knock the police but to ask what the accusation or the allegation, whether indeed it is meritorious. So I won't want to begin to speculate on that. They should furnish facts to back up their claim. Like somebody was saying in the Bible, Paul, he said, well, for whatever reason some people are preaching Christ, maybe even out of malice, but the important thing is that Christ is preached. So whether the police is acting maliciously or acting patriotically, the important thing is that if indeed it is true that the connect of Abba Kyari in the NDLEA, they should be exposed. And I think that's fair enough.
Let's talk about the judicial process now, because now we have a case. We've seen evidences. We've seen a video that was released. It was trending. One of the major problems that we have in the country is the slow wheel of justice. We've seen even the likes of Evans, the very notorious kidnapper, trying to also crawl out of the doldrums to say, well, he was implicated, he was not necessarily a kidnapper. And that's because, again, justice has stalled for this long. How are we certain that we will see the end of this matter anytime soon? Because Nigerians are also expressing that kind of, worry that maybe this process might just be swept under the carpet. Again, being who he is, being that he is a very highly placed police officer.
Yes, it's a national issue. It's a national issue, and the fact is that in this country is a country of it's a jungle. I like to say the word jungle. In the jungle, law is not right. What is right is might. And so you are not just only even talking about the offenders. What about the lawyers? I'm talking about people like me. Well, that's my profession. What about the judges? You understand? Many lawyers are, if I may say this, more or less like mafia guns. Once you can pay their money, you are not supposed to do that as a lawyer. You are supposed to put the ethics of the profession first. But then your interest as a lawyer must be to the court, the dignity of the court and the profession. But many of the times, people are swayed by money. These are people they call successful lawyers, These are the big-time lawyers. So they help, criminals to shield them away from the due process of law.
This is a serious allegation against the judiciary.
I'm talking of even the bar. I'm here to get to the judge. You invited me. It's the truth. It's the truth. I'm talking from experience. I'm more than a quarter of a century in this profession, In fact, the elite in this country is the problem of this country. And the elite includes the high-class professionals like lawyers, engineers, and all those people that do approvals for wrong construct. They are the elite, they are professionals, you understand, including the bar itself. The bar is part of the problem. I'm a lawyer, but I know what I'm talking about. It's the truth. If of the election, even the ordinary elections, how you manufacture evidence and do the wrong thing, and not just any other lawyer, senior lawyers. And we are talking also of the bench itself. You understand? Of course, there are very fine judges, even at the lowest level, magistrate and all that. But then there are bad eggs. This is the truth. The corruption that we're talking about is not limited to law enforcement agents and everybody. People have challenges. The next thing they do, they begin to pick calls, put calls to judges. How many of the judges are properly appointed? If you are appointed by what we call prebendalists, by politicians, by connect. So when they have issues, they now call you and say, this person is our person. Sometimes they say, so person has interest in this case. And then you find a judge who may not have the spine to stand up to the truth. So that issue about concerns has this case to people already gone beyond skepticism in the country to cynicism. This one, now story, it will die down. Later now, we hear that either they have, to use the Nigerian language, they've dambaru the case, or they died the case, or that there is walola, that is adjournment today, postponed tomorrow, to wear down everybody. And so the concern of the masses of our people are real. And in fact, the cynicism is so much that people are even saying that even this NDLEA to reserve is rather fantastic. Even despite something played and all that, that man looks fatter than Abba Kyari. Are you sure it's not a clone? Are you sure it's not a scheme to escape extradition to the US so as to show the level? And people who are dismissing this kind of claim so easily and are using logic are missing the point. Nigeria is a strange country. There's very strange things do happen. When Obasanjo was president, people who should know that they said there was somebody who by himself created in Aso Rock a fake bomb disposal unit. In this Lagos, about 50 years ago, there's an entire fake police station. So when you look at all these things, we really need to do a lot of soul searching within ourselves. And when people begin to vilify people like Abba Kyari, the truth is that is only the person that is caught. That is that's the thief. Because before now, he's supposed to be super cop, wonderful cop, the best of the very best. They even gave him not only an award, a standing ovation, only to find out that, at least so far, because we are here to hear his own side of the story fully. Now, I won't want to comment, but it's already dented.
Let me come back to you, Mr. Makri. Interesting perspective from Mr. Gulana here. But let's talk about the head of the NDLEA, because he's also made a very interesting point about the way that Nigerians feel and the fact that we have already resigned to fate because of where we're coming from, antecedences and all of the things that we have been exposed to. But let's look at the person of Buba Marwa. He has been a former military administrator. He's held many offices. He ran an airline, even though that airline shut down. But do you think that he as a person would let this matter just go the way it goes normally here in the country? Let's take a look at his personality.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, Buba Marwa himself is, when he was military administrator, I worked with him as assistant director of the SS in Lagos, you know, and I know him very well. And when he took over the NDLA, it was very, very clear. The NDLA was going down the drain. There were a lot of people that were into all kinds of things. And of course, when he came there, he told them that this is the time to work now. If you don't work, he show you the way out. If you work, he promotes you. And that's what he did. You know, so right now, since he came, there have been many wins for the NDLA where, you know, they've gone through more efficient operations, prosecuting, and then, of course, doing all these things. You can remember that this particular case, when it happened, instead of doing the business with Kerry, they went back to their office to report. And then, of course, it got to him, and he said, go ahead. You know, so that tells you the integrity or image of that man that is heading the NDLA at this time. So I think I don't have any problem with that.
Let me ask a question that everybody else may be asking in their mind. There's a conspiracy theory or a theory that people are putting together saying that Abba Kyari is the fall guy for something that is pretty bigger than what we actually are seeing. Or let me say the very famous quote, there's more to it than meets the eye, and that he is being a fall guy. But that this is just a cover-up for something else. We're not talking about the FBI incidents. We're looking at a bigger drug or syndicacy in this country. Let's not forget that as we speak, Nigeria is dealing with a serious drug issue. We have a drug crisis. Our young people are given to this drug thing. We're seeing a lot of them as young as 15, 13. They're all given to the life of drugs. Could this be a way to bring down this drug syndicates in Nigeria? Or do you even buy into this narrative in the first instance?
I don't believe in conspiracy theories because they are just speculation from people. You know, people can speculate all they want. And of course, you know, in Nigeria, anything you do, they will start to read meanings into it. In fact, I was very happy that the sting operation that, you know, nailed Abba Kyari in that video, you know, two people were speaking Hausa. If they were speaking Igbo, and, you know, they will say, oh, no, that's a setup. You know, those are Igbo or Yoruba. That's a setup. But those two were speaking a common language to two of them. So, you know, I don't believe in conspiracy theories. Investigations will bring out everything that we need to know. And the earlier they do, they finish up their investigation and take it to the court. Because it's in the court that we really hear. All what we're hearing now are just peripheral. In the court, that's where all the story, the real story, will come out.
Finally, let's look at his claim, and I'm going to ask the same question to Mr. Golona here. Abba Kyari has told, you know, he was reportedly claiming that IPOB and the ESN are responsible for his woes. And I'm asking, what is the relation?
It's grabbing at straws when you come to saying things like that, because what has IPOB got to do with him? Or is he one of the people that has been on the back of IPOB and they feel that this is the time to deal with him? Well, it still remains that if he's clean, even if IPOB is trying to get back at him, he will be out of it free. But if he's not clean, then that's the weakest link in him that they have used to nail him down. But I really don't think, I still don't believe in conspiracy theories.
Okay, Mr. Ogulana, now I'm just going to quote exactly what Abba Kyari said. He did say that members of the indigenous people of Biafra and the Eastern Security Network are behind his travails. He made this claim when he actually appeared before the probe panel led by the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Joseph Egbunike, at the Force Headquarters in Abuja. And this report was published by Daily Trust, so it's not a hearsay. And I'm really wondering, because he said that the outlawed IPOB and its armed wing were after him during the onslaught launched against them in the southeast, and he's thinking that this is them getting back at him.
Well, thank you. First, I can only react as a lawyer that I am. Even though this story has been published by Daily Trust, which is fairly respected and all that, I will still, since I didn't hear directly from Abba Kyari, I will not want to make much of that. But assuming that he says so, now, let me deal with that hypothetically. Assuming that he says so, well, back it up with facts. If you say that you failed your exams because the rival of your mother was the one who has affected you, it's not enough to say it. Tell us whether it was that your mother's rival who said you should not read your books, or that when you got to the exam, when you are sleeping, it activated. Remember this funny story, real story of the Olympian boxer Jeremiah Okorodudu when he met with Joe Lasisi. He was by far more famous and all that. And I'm talking about maybe 25 years ago. He lost. Joe Lasisi beat him. And then Jeremiah Okorodudu said that when they got to the ring, I think this national stadium here, in fact, he started seeing 7 Joe Lasisi. He says later, many years, when he became a Christian or something, born again, he now said, true, he had to save his face, that probably it was the blow. That if he saw 7 goal assists, it was the blows that made him to shake his brain and reset his brain and all that. So if this gentleman now said that it's IPOB, it's like the expert intelligence fellow said, he said he must be clutching at straws because it's not related. Is it that they are the one who push you into the car? When you are counting the money, it was iPod that supplied you the money. It was iPod, the mules were iPod people who set you up. And indeed, how do you, like they used to say among the Yahoo people, if you are not greedy, you cannot be hooked.
Well, finally, gentlemen, before I let you go, when Nigerians have their fingers crossed, we're all expecting to see the last of this. And it's not our place to preempt the courts, but what would be your positive message to those of us who are, let me not include myself because I'm just, an observer, but the Nigerians who have lost hope, like you said, that have jettisoned hope in not just the judiciary, but of course the processes in this country.
What I want to say is this. It's our country. It's our country. Really, we've been messed up, down, and all that. If you lose hope, you're gone. There are a lot of things to be hopeless about. But Awolowo taught us. He says, not life that matters, but the courage that you bring into it. So this country, like he said, whether somebody is blind, whether you like Boa Mariwa or you don't like him, the truth was that when he has taken over now, we've seen an improved NDLA. It was like the late Mrs. the NAFDAC woman. When she took over, so when she's too started, there is a lie, it's a flash in the pan, but no, after she's gone, we didn't hear NAFDAC again like that. So there are still good people. And before even this Kyari that fell, busting this crime, busting that crime, although Anybody with any fair sense of introspection will know there's something wrong with this cop. Too publicity. He would go and do an operation. He will put it on paper, put it on social media. He will take picture, and we'll be wondering what kind of cop is this. But the truth of the matter is this: you can't afford to drown in hopelessness. In fact, for people like us, you just have to fight and regain and reclaim your country. You can't. You can't just give up. And so, as for this gentleman, it's by us showing interest in the matter that you even make all the actors to sit up. The lawyers, as I'm saying this, that's my constituency. You want to take up the matter. You know how we have been trained. You don't suppress facts in the name of I'm defending my clients. You give in the very best of defense within the law. And then for the judges handling this matter, you don't compromise. And for the prosecutor, many of the times, prosecutors spoil case. If I can use that Nigerian language. So people start blaming the judges. But if very poor evidence, uncoordinated evidence is brought before a judge, what else can they? So all this, but when we, the owners of Nigeria, the people of Nigeria, at least the informed one, when we have cases like this and we continue to holler about it, we want justice to be done, not the one you begin to say, Abba Kyari is a Christian, Abba Kyari is from Borno, so why people are being oppressed. This is a wrong attitude.
Okay. Final word, Mr. Makri.
Yeah, well, I think this particular case underlines the need for us to restructure the security agencies. There is very, very strong need right now to look into the police, because we keep on talking about it and then allowing that structure to go on and the processes. There are two things to look at there in the police now. The structure. Either we want to dismantle it and call for state police or, local government sheriffs or whatever, so that the police is nearer to the people where crime happens. Or we want to continue maintaining the unitary system that is going on. And then the processes, their procedures, how the police carries out its investigations, how do you train them? How do we eliminate corruption, even in the police? These are things that this is the time for us to sit back and look at it. Because if we don't, we'll keep on hearing more stories and more stories about this.
Sad stories.
Well, I want to say thank you to Additional Ogunlana. He is a legal practitioner. Dennis Amakra is a former Assistant Director of the Department of State Services, DSS. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here.
Good evening, madam.
We appreciate
Thank
your
you.
thoughts.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all for staying with us. We'll take a short break now. And when we return, we discuss the upcoming Osun State gubernatorial elections and the infighting issues within the APC. Stay with us.
How long are we going to be, singing the same song? Can't the citizenry see up till now that the power is in their hands and that they need to take a hold of it and do what they need to do to change the status quo?
It's the hypocrisy, right? The hypocrisy that comes to not paying attention in this case to the things that really matter to us.
Not everybody can get that job in government. Not everybody has the opportunity to get that job in business. So until we can give the businesses, the small, medium and big businesses, the opportunity to thrive to the highest level,
Yes.
we will not get to that stage.
In Nigeria, we don't have an election, we have a selection.
Selection.
So they just present the devil and the blue sea, and you must make a choice. And this is because we are not part of political parties or we're not doing anything. So what happens is we just roll with the wind.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@PlusTvAfrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
I had no desire to study law, none whatsoever. I was more inclined to fine arts. My only ambition, I would say, was to become the chief prosecutor. For me, politicians are a bit too playful. That's what I believe. And since '99, we've seen how much investment in social events, in launching some streets that you just started, and the whole day will be spent on this occasion. British people are generally law-abiding. We are not law-abiding. So another problem of administration is that people don't follow the rules.
Timeless Conversations, airing every Sunday at 8:30 p.m.
The Osun State gubernatorial election is fast approaching as it nears, the rift between the former governor of the state and the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, and the current governor, Gboyega Oyetola, is set to take a new turn. The two fell out after Gboyega took office in 2018, causing the party in the state to be split into two factions. Aregbesola has expressed his support for a former secretary to the state government, Moshood Adeoti. Meanwhile, members of the party loyal to Aregbesola have written to Bola Ahmed Tinubu accusing Governor Oyetola of attacking Aregbesola's legacies and imposing leaders on party members. They also allege that Oyetola is a weak candidate who could easily be defeated by a strong opposition candidate. Well, joining us to discuss this is Biodun Shomi. He's a political analyst. Mr. Shomi, thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear me? I think you need to unmute yourself so we can hear you. Okay, I think we can hear you now. So let's start with the relationship between the former governor and the sitting governor and what.
There's no audio. No audio.
Okay, can you hear me, Mr. Shomi? Can you hear me? I do not think that he can hear me. We'll take a quick break and fix that.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the
wise choice.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare. Sundays, 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria?
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
You're still watching Plus Politics, and we are looking at the infighting within the APC in Osun State as the state is gearing up for its gubernatorial elections. And we're being joined by Biodun Shomi. Mr. Shomi, thank you so much for joining us. Apologies for the hiccup in the connections. So let's talk about the no love lost between the former governor and the sitting governor, and why this has dragged the party into a division that it is experiencing right now.
Well, what is clear in Osun State is that you have the former governor wanting to be the dominant influence on the current governor. The constitution of APC is very clear. The governor is the leader of the party in the state, irrespective of what. But the former governor is also a minister at the federal level who is determined to remain relevant in the affairs of the state. So there you have the conflict. Now, you have the supporters of the former governor, Rauf Aregbesola, and the supporters of the incumbent governor and leader of the party in the state, trying to slug it out for a return ticket. It's clear the Aregbesola is just supporting a second-term ticket for Oyetola, and the supporters of Oyetola are determined that it should be returned. Now, where else I found difficult to understand in all this is the corollary drawn by the Minister for Internal Affairs about what happened in Lagos in relation to Ambode serving one term, and then his own desire that Oyetola should also serve one term. I don't think anybody should be in that situation. Nobody should be so powerful to the extent that they can dictate what the electorate should do in terms of the tenure, termination, or elongation of any administration in Nigeria. I don't think that is right. And I think it's at the cross of the present conflict, the former governor wanting to terminate the current governor, who is the leader of the party in the state. And I think that's what the battle is all about.
But this is not the first time we're seeing this. We've seen that tussle, in the APC in, I think, Kwara State. We've also seen that tussle in even the PDP in certain states. I think one of the reasons why the governor of Cross River State moved to the APC was because he was having to tussle the leadership of the party with certain other people who were strongmen in the party. So, but this is not necessarily new, is it? But what is the party? The APC keeps saying that they're going about in different states to have some reconciliation of sorts. But how is this being dealt with, especially what's happening in Osun State now, gearing up for an election?
The whole idea is about the continuation of godfatherism. You see godfathers wanting to remain in control. You also have new leaders wanting to be godfathers, not necessarily wanting to transform the political landscape of their state, but rather to perpetuate themselves, on the people. And one thing which I've learned, from pedagogy of the oppressed, is that an oppressed person, when liberated, does not necessarily want the liberation of other oppressed people, or to perpetuate his own hegemony over them. That is the truism of what is going on in Osun State. You have a situation where the former governor is determined to call the shots and dictate who becomes governor or not. I think that is what the battle is all about. It's certainly going to affect the APC, particularly going towards election. But we still don't know. It is too early to tell whether after the primary, the party will pull itself together, resolve their differences, and choose to forge ahead. That remains to be seen. But the speculation that is out there on the street is that a faction that loses out, or that is bound to lose out in the battle for Osun, is likely going to team up, with the PDP to ensure that try and ensure that the governor does not get re-elected. But the fact of the matter is, they made reference to the fact that it took a faction of the PDP, led by Omishore, to ensure that Oyetola was elected. These are still, conjectures, and we don't know what would happen. We should not forget the fact that Omishore himself has since shifted his own position. So everything is up in the air. It's unfortunate APC is in crisis, but PDP itself has its own internal crisis. You still have the Adeleke tussle with other party leaders there. So it's too early to call to see about the effect of the political wrangling in APC, whether PDP will benefit from it or not.
Let's talk about what happened in the primaries of the APC. This has been on the lips of many. The minister who had in his convoy gunmen who were shooting sporadically in the air. In fact, the tension at that governorship primary, some would term it as something that had automatically boiled over. guns were, used. People had to scamper for safety. And the shocking part is that those who were armed were members of the correctional service, which are the prisons, and of course the NSCDC. It's very interesting to see this show of power by the minister at the primaries, and many people have queried this action. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the minister is certainly legally in control of the NSCDC. He made allegations to the fact that shots were fired at his motorcade. That may be true or not, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, he has made adequate arrangements for his own protection by the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps. But the governor's team, the party itself, APC, Osun State, is alleging that the minister is abusing his office by using the NCCDC, to terrorize members of the party, with the governor. So, whether that is true or not, I also don't know, because you have this issue of Aregbe asking that the commissioner for police should be removed, and then you have the APC party leadership, making allegations, against Aregbe. I think this is part of the brickmanship, part of the game. It is almost impossible, for the Nigerian police force not to remain neutral in this issue, because the governor is the chief security officer of the state, and Aregbe is the minister for internal affairs in charge of another security outfit. My guess feeling is that the Nigerian police force will try and be professional and refuse to get drawn into party politicking by either of the two factions of the APC.
Let's talk about banding together. In fact, before then, the government of Osun State had said that anyone, and I'd quote them directly, irrespective of their office or station, caught disrupting the peace of Osun will answer to the law. Also the Osun State Police Command also said that when he was called, apparently, he did not have anything to say. And just as you said, they're trying to stay neutral on this particular matter. But then a senator within the Osun APC is calling for some form of, reconciliation. They're asking that both parties be reconciled. Do you see any reconciliation in the, let's say, the next few weeks or in the next coming months before the final primaries happen? Do you see anybody downing, sheathing their sword and embracing peace? I mean, we've seen that happening in Ekiti APC, where certain people have stepped back and said, let's work in the interest of the party. Do we see that also happening in Osun State, being that these are two strong men?
Yes. With politicians, anything is possible. Tomorrow, you might find Aregbe knocking on the doors of Tinubu or Oyetola. It's not impossible. That is the way of politics in our country. But in relation to the current political struggle for control of the party and the seat of government, a faction led by Rauf Aregbe is already backing Alhaji Fatai Adewusi. And Oyetola, enjoys the party, the support of the leadership of the recognized party within the state. What I see is that the mathematics, the arithmetic is likely going to favor Oyetola in terms of delegates. And should that happen, there will be the need for reconciliation. But is it likely that reconciliation will take place or not? That depends on how the party leadership at the national level handles the situation.
Okay.
If they don't make efforts to reconcile both of them, through genuine reconciliation, not one party calling shots and making demands, unreasonable demands. If they fail to do that, then there may be a major problem for APC.
Okay.
But the process of reconciliation is always there with politicians. You can never say no, that politicians can't do anything. They can do anything. They can wake up tomorrow morning and be reconciled.
Well, they say no permanent enemies in politics, but interest. Well, I want to say thank you. Biodun is a political analyst. Thank you so much for speaking with us. We appreciate your thoughts. All right. Well, thank you all for staying with us. To round up the show tonight, Nigerians are still screaming about their frustrations as regards the fuel scarcity and the long lines at petrol stations. Well, we'll leave you with that. I am Mary Anakon. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good evening.
Government should do something to this fuel scarcity because it cannot continue like this. Because people will suffer for it. People are suffering for it.
Things are bad because of that scarcity of fuel. People cannot move to one another to do their own business. So, if they can do something about it.
I traveled to Mercy on Saturday. There is no NNPC filling station self-fuel from Ikodu to Ekiti. Our leader, they know where Nigeria is today. We are sleeping with fear. We are running on fear. We dey filling station on fear. This is not. It's not supposed to be like that.
By now, we should be talking about building and restoring our infrastructures. The major one there is the refinery. So, if you want to see any sincere government, they have to put our refineries back to workable position. This is unforgiving for all the leaders of Nigeria. We're talking about a nation over 200 million without a refinery. We probably have to go back to the likes of Qatar, to the likes of Dubai, nations that are on their knees in the early 70s, late 70s, even early 80s, begging us.
Drivers find it harder to get petrol, and as a result, bus fares are higher. And also at home, to get petrol for your generator is a bit harder now and more expensive. If we do not import petrol, if we make our petrol, there will probably be better ways of ensuring the quality is good.
I hope the people here will listen, the people who distribute the fuel, and at least they will do the needful. We don't have to make life difficult for each other. I think they can do better.
Hi there, my name is Abimbola Obasui. Neshokweju. Nothing is as nostalgic as remembering your childhood memories. And here is my good old day story. I was born and grew up in Ladipo Estate, a small community tucked in between Oshodi and Shogunle. Those years, Ladipo Estate was a secluded developing area and part of what old islanders referred to as Oshudioko. Life in the estate was very, very quiet, lonely, but peaceful. I am the fourth in a large family of Chief John Singbolahon Shokweju, an entrepreneur who built his first mansion in Ladipo Estate in the early 60s at the age of 29 and has a street named after